There are people we miss for a season, and then there are people we carry like a secret scar for the rest of our lives. You may delete their number, avoid their street, throw away the sweater they left in your closet, even convince yourself that you have moved on. But then one song comes on in a grocery store, one familiar perfume passes by, one stranger laughs in the same way, and suddenly your heart remembers everything your pride tried to bury. Some zodiac signs do not simply love, they leave an imprint. They become the person an ex compares everyone else to, even years later, even after marriage, even after children, even after building an entirely different life. The strange thing is that these signs are not always easy to love. Sometimes they are intense. Sometimes they are stubborn. Sometimes they walk away to quietly or love too deeply for someone immature to understand. But that is exactly why they become unforgettable. Their love is not cheap. It does not feel like entertainment, distraction, or convenience. It feels like a chapter of destiny. And when someone loses them, the regret often does not arrive immediately. At first, the ex may feel relief, freedom, ego, the illusion that someone better, easier, prettier, richer, calmer, or more available is waiting around the corner. But time is a ruthless astrologer. It reveals the truth slowly. It shows who loved sincerely and who only played a role. It shows whose silence was dignity, whose jealousy was fear, whose loyalty was a gift, and whose presence was the warmest home anyone ever had. The ex who once took them for granted may spend years pretending not to care, yet deep inside, they remember the way this person looked at them when nobody else believed in them. They remember the advice they ignored, the patience they abused, the emotional safety they destroyed with carelessness. These 6 zodiac signs are impossible to forget because they give something rare, not always perfect love, but unforgettable love. The kind that changes a person's standards forever. The kind that makes an ex wake up years later and wonder, what if I had stayed? What if I had been wiser? What if I lost the one person who truly saw me? Taurus. Taurus is unforgettable because they love like a place you can come home to. They may not overwhelm you with dramatic speeches or constant emotional fireworks, but once they choose someone, their loyalty becomes almost physical. You feel it in the way they remember your favorite meal, the way they touch your shoulder when you are tired, the way they quietly build comfort around you without announcing how much they are doing. Many people underestimate Taurus while they have them. They mistake their steadiness for simplicity. They think, this person will always be here. That is where the tragedy begins. A Taurus in love can endure more than most people realize. They may forgive delays, mood swings, selfish phases, financial chaos, emotional confusion, and even long periods of neglect. But they are not weak. They are patient, and patience has an expiration date. When Taurus finally understands that their devotion is being wasted, something inside them closes like a heavy golden door. They do not always scream. They do not always beg. They simply stop offering the warmth that once made the relationship feel safe. This is when the ex begins to suffer. Not immediately, perhaps. At first, they may enjoy the silence. They may believe they escaped routine. They may chase something more exciting. But later, they realize excitement is not the same as peace. They meet people who are charming but unreliable, passionate but unstable, beautiful but cold. And suddenly, Taurus becomes the memory that hurts the most. The regret Taurus leaves behind is practical and emotional at the same time. Their ex remembers the life they could have built, the home, the trips, the shared mornings, the loyal partner who would have stood beside them through illness, debt, failure, and age. Losing Taurus feels, years later, like losing a future that could have been solid. And that is a very painful thing to understand too late. Leo. Leo is impossible to forget because they do not simply enter someone's life, they illuminate it. Loving Leo feels like standing in the center of a private sun. They make ordinary days feel cinematic. They can turn a boring dinner into a memory, a casual compliment into a moment of magic, and a relationship into something that feels bigger than life. When Leo loves, they do not hide the person they adore. They are proud. They show affection with warmth, generosity, attention, and a kind of emotional brightness that many people only appreciate once it disappears. The secret about Leo is that behind their confidence, they have a deeply tender need to be chosen sincerely. They can survive criticism. They can survive competition. They can survive envy. But they cannot survive being treated like an option by someone they made feel like a king or queen. Leo gives grand love, but they need respect in return. If an ex embarrassed them, ignored them, compared them to others, or made them feel replaceable, Leo may eventually walk away with their head high even while their heart is breaking. And that image haunts the ex for years, Leo walking away beautifully, not destroyed, not begging, not crawling back, still radiant, still desirable, still carrying that royal fire. An ex often regrets Leo because after Leo leaves, life becomes quieter in the worst way. The colors fade, the compliments become less sincere, the new people are less alive. Nobody celebrates them the way Leo did. Nobody makes them feel as seen, as wanted, as chosen. Leo's unforgettable power is that they often become more magnetic after heartbreak. They glow harder, they dress better, they laugh louder, they rebuild themselves in public, and the ex watches from a distance, pretending not to look. That is when regret becomes a wound, because Leo may forgive, but they rarely forget who made them feel small. And once Leo realizes their worth, the person who lost them may spend years understanding that they did not just lose a lover. They lost the one person who made life feel legendary. Libra. Libra is the kind of person an ex remembers in fragments that become more beautiful with time. Their voice during late-night conversations. Their elegance when they were hurt but still polite. The way they tried to understand both sides, even when they were the one bleeding emotionally. Libra has a rare gift. They can make love feel graceful. Even conflict with them can feel meaningful because they search for harmony, explanation, and emotional balance. They do not just want to win an argument. They want to save the connection. Many people lose Libra because they confuse kindness with lack of boundaries. They assume Libra will always smooth things over, always forgive, always return after being disappointed. And yes, Libra may give chance after chance, especially when they truly love someone. But every time they forgive, they also quietly remember. Libra's heart keeps a hidden record of imbalance. Who reached out first? Who apologized sincerely? Who made them feel alone inside the relationship? Who enjoyed their beauty but ignored their pain? The most painful thing about losing Libra is realizing later how rare their presence was. Libra often brings softness to someone's life without making a scene about it. They make the home prettier, the conversations deeper, the future seem more romantic. They introduce music, taste, tenderness, and emotional intelligence. They can make a person feel more refined simply by loving them. But when Libra is gone, the ex begins to notice the absence of beauty. The room feels colder. The messages feel drier. The new relationships feel less poetic. Libra becomes unforgettable because they often leave with dignity. They may cry privately, but publicly they remain composed. They may still smile, still answer politely, still wish the ex well, and that grace can hurt more than anger. Years later, the ex may remember that Libra did not destroy them, expose them, or curse them. Libra simply withdrew the privilege of being loved by them. And sometimes the quietest departure becomes the loudest regret. Cancer. Cancer is impossible to forget because they love with their whole emotional history, not just with passing desire. When Cancer falls in love, they do not offer a shallow version of themselves. They give care, intuition, protection, emotional attention, and the kind of loyalty that makes a person feel deeply known. They remember what hurts you even when you never say it clearly. They notice when your smile is forced. They can tell when your silence means exhaustion, fear, shame, or heartbreak. To be loved by Cancer is to be emotionally held in a world that is often cold and impatient. The problem is that many people only recognize Cancer's greatness after they have lost it. While they are in the relationship, they may see Cancer as too sensitive, too attached, or too emotional. They may not understand that this sensitivity is exactly what made the love so powerful. Cancer does not love halfway. They create a private emotional world around the person they choose. They fill it with comfort, rituals, shared memories, tenderness, and invisible acts of devotion that become priceless only in absence. Cancer can stay in a painful relationship longer than they should because hope means a lot to them. They believe people can return to themselves. They believe love can be repaired. They believe sincerity can heal what pride has damaged. But once Cancer finally reaches the point where their heart feels unsafe, something profound changes. They may still feel everything, but they stop trusting the person who hurt them. And when Cancer leaves emotionally, the relationship often cannot be revived in the same way again. That is why Exes regret Cancer for years. They realize too late that very few people will ever care that deeply. They miss the emotional warmth, the softness, the instinctive understanding. They miss being looked after without being controlled. They miss the messages that arrived at the right moment, the concern hidden in ordinary questions, the sense that someone truly noticed their soul and not just their image. Years later, many Exes still compare others to Cancer and feel the painful truth. Plenty of people can offer attraction, but very few can offer that kind of emotional home. Scorpio. Scorpio is unforgettable because being loved by them never feels casual. It feels fated, consuming, life-changing, sometimes dangerous, and impossible to experience without being transformed. Scorpio does not create light memories. They create emotional landmarks. Even if the relationship ends badly, even if it is full of complexity, distance, or unfinished conversations, the person who loves Scorpio rarely forgets them. Scorpio has a way of reaching beneath the surface of another person and awakening feelings that cannot easily be put back to sleep. When Scorpio loves, they study the person they care about with almost unsettling intensity. They notice contradictions, weaknesses, desires, lies, fears, hidden hunger, old wounds. They do not just love who someone pretends to be, they sense who they really are. This can feel intoxicating. For many people, being with Scorpio is the first time they feel truly exposed and truly desired at once. Scorpio's affection is magnetic because it carries emotional depth, sexual power, protectiveness, and a silent promise. If you are real with me, I will love you in a way no one else can. But Scorpio is not easy to keep. They may forgive more than outsiders realize, yet betrayal changes everything for them. Disrespect, dishonesty, emotional games, manipulation, divided loyalty, these are the wounds Scorpio never treats lightly. Even when they stay calm on the outside, they register everything. And when they decide the trust is broken beyond repair, they can walk away with a finality that terrifies the person left behind. Exes regret Scorpio because no later relationship feels as deep. They may find calmer partners, easier partners, more convenient partners, but deep down, many of them know that what they had with Scorpio was rare. Scorpio made them feel desired, challenged, seen, and emotionally alive. After the breakup, they often tell themselves it was too much. Then life becomes more ordinary, and that too much begins to look like passion, truth, and emotional richness. Scorpio becomes the ghost in future relationships, the standard no one can quite reach, the silence behind every comparison, the memory that still burns years later. The cruel irony is that the ex often understands Scorpio best only after losing them. Only then do they realize that Scorpio's jealousy was not always insecurity, sometimes it was wounded intuition. Their intensity was not chaos, it was sincerity without disguise. Their emotional depth was not a burden, it was a privilege. And once that realization comes, regret can become almost permanent. Pisces. Pisces is impossible to forget because they love in a way that makes reality feel bigger, softer, and more magical than it usually does. They do not just bring affection into a relationship, they bring atmosphere, emotion, imagination, soul. A Pisces can make a simple conversation feel like fate, a shared look feel like poetry, and an ordinary season of life feel like a beautiful dream. They see hidden beauty in the person they love, and often they believe in them long before the world does. That kind of love is extraordinarily powerful and tragically easy to undervalue. Many Exes do not understand Pisces while the relationship is still alive. They may think Pisces is unrealistic, too tender, too forgiving, or too hard to define. But Pisces operates from an emotional intelligence that is not always visible to practical minds. They sense what is unspoken. They absorb moods. They often know when love is fading before a word is spoken aloud. And even when they feel pain, they often keep loving longer than anyone expects, hoping the person they chose will return to the depth they once showed. Pisces becomes unforgettable because they do not love people for what is obvious. They love the hidden version, the fragile, scared, flawed, beautiful version the rest of the world never sees. That experience changes a person. To be loved by Pisces is to feel that someone saw through your defenses and still stayed. Someone believed in your better self. Someone held your broken pieces without disgust. And once a person loses that, the world can feel strangely dull. The ex who regrets Pisces often does so in silence. They may remember 1,000 tiny details, the late-night talks, the emotional honesty, the sweetness that was never performative, the strange feeling that with Pisces they could be softer than usual. They remember how safe it felt to be imperfect in front of them. They remember how Pisces made them feel special not because of status or achievement, but because of who they were inside. That is not something a person forgets easily. And yet Pisces is often lost because they are underestimated. Someone assumes that because Pisces is gentle, they will endure anything forever. They assume forgiveness means endless access. They mistake compassion for weakness. But once Pisces truly accepts that their love is being mishandled, they begin to drift away emotionally, and that departure can be one of the saddest of all. Pisces may not leave with rage. They leave with sorrow, disappointment, and a deep inner closing that the ex often notices too late. Then the regret begins, because years later, the ex understands that they were loved by someone rare, someone who offered heart, soul, tenderness, and spiritual intimacy all at once. The truth is that unforgettable love is not always the easiest love. It is often the love that asked for sincerity, depth, courage, patience, and emotional maturity. Taurus, Cancer, Leo, Libra, Scorpio, and Pisces are not unforgettable because they are flawless. They are unforgettable because they love in ways that alter the emotional memory of the people who meet them. They raise the standard. They leave a mark. They become the chapter that later relationships cannot erase. And that is why Exes regret them for years, not because time failed to heal them, but because time finally told the truth. It revealed what was real. It exposed what was wasted. It made the heart admit what pride once denied. Some people are loved and forgotten, but these 6 signs, they are the ones an ex remembers on sleepless nights, on birthdays, in old messages, in songs, in seasons, and in those quiet moments when life becomes honest. They are impossible to forget because, once they love you deeply, a part of your soul will always remember what it felt like to be loved by them. My name is Anna and I am an astrologer. Thank you for your attention. Subscribe to my channel. May spring bring you lots of love and a meeting with that special person you have dreamed of all your life. Don't forget, love begins with self-love.